There's been a lot of talk recently, as there always is, about genius and talent and how to get on in life and how to succeed in an increasingly competitive economy, a very difficult economy. Gina Rudan has written a book called Practical Genius, which is a guide to succeeding. Gina, welcome to TechCrunch TV.
Thank you for having me.
So Gina, interesting book, but I'm troubled by the title, Practical Genius, because of course we always think that geniuses are impractical. What's the connection between practicality and genius?
So I've set out to redefine genius as a choice versus a gift. So I've added the word practical to inspire people to realize that it's attainable, that we all possess the ingredients that contribute to genius. And I believe the secret is really to realize that everything that's practical can be applied in life. So that's the play on words. And I've basically have redefined genius as a place within ourselves that's located between heart and mind, between what we love and what we're good at. And I consider it to be what some will call a genius zone, and I refer to it as your other G spot.
So Gina, and this is a family show, so we have to be a little careful here, but let's get to that G spot. Tell our audience how to get to it, particularly, obviously, for themselves, how you find your own G spot when it comes to genius.
So the easiest way is I break down the ingredients. I've conducted interviews with executives and leaders and scientists and thought leaders and professors and realized that we all innately possess 6 ingredients that contribute to our genius. And to simplify it, I break it up into 2 buckets. The first set of ingredients are your soft assets. This is who you are on the weekends. And this is made up of your creative abilities, your passions, and your values. And we've been conditioned to kind of marginalize the soft side of who we are. And I'm trying to get people to realize that the first set of ingredients, the soft, the heart, really matters most. The second set of ingredients are your hard professional assets. This is who you are at work. This is the strategic you. And that consists of your strengths, your skills, and your expertise. Where the soft side of who you are and the hard assets intersect, that's where the other G spot is.
What happens, though, if you don't have those assets? Or does everybody have them?
Everyone innately has them. It's just taking the time to focus on EQ, emotional intelligence, and not just obsess over your IQ, and really have that self-conversation with yourself.
What is EQ?
EQ, so it's referred to as emotional intelligence. How well do you really know yourself? Have you slowed down to really, I call it a genius autopsy, to really sit down and look at all the assets that contribute to your competitive advantage, that contribute to your belief system, that contribute to your identity, and how you go about producing results at work, at home. So I'm encouraging people to stop for a moment and really do a little bit of a diagnostic to see where these genius ingredients, these 6 ingredients, show up well within someone's life.
Are you democratizing genius? Are you saying that everyone is a genius?
Absolutely, I am. And I think the traditional definition, Sir Francis Galton was the one who really coined the phrase nurture.
When was he around, Sir Francis Galton?
1800s, and he was actually Darwin's second cousin, and I believe he had a lot of issues. And he was trying to...
He was a white male, right?
Well, that wasn't his issue. But his issue was he really believed that genius was genetic. And his mission was to improve the breed of mankind. And he also was the founder of the fingerprint. So he was fixated with categorizing people genetically. And he really is the one that coined the phrase nurture versus nature and believed it really was nature. I think that those limiting definitions of genius only apply to under 1% of the global population, and practical genius is a more inclusive approach to inspire all of us to realize it's a choice. You don't have to be struck by the gods with an extraordinary ability or a fabulous genetic makeup. It really is a choice, and leveraging and figuring out where your hard assets and soft assets intersect, and again, to stay within that space in how you live and go about work.
But are you saying that you don't need the hard assets of education and job achievement?
So Fast Company had this great article where they listed 12 people that dropped out of college or high school, including, of course, the amazing Steve Jobs.
Yeah, but
Bill
Steve
Gates.
Jobs and Bill,
They had
Gates was at
extraordinary
Harvard
IQ.
and Jobs was at Reed. I mean, these were people who could have got college degrees if they had bothered, if they'd wanted to.
But what the article continued to share was they focused on their IQ and they spent the time, right, that they needed to cultivate that logic side, that very linear side of their brain, but they also focused on their heart, their passions, and being driven by, again, the heart. So I'm saying that the mind definitely matters, and we have to fuel this beautiful gift that we have, but we also should no longer go about compromising what we love, what we care about, and what we believe in.
Gina, we're in the San Francisco offices of TechCrunch in the middle of Silicon Valley. There's a great debate, ongoing debate in Silicon Valley about the role of women in technology companies. A number of people have observed that there aren't many, very few women CEOs in technology companies. What's your opinion of why women are not succeeding, perhaps as they should, in the startup world?
So success factors, it's interesting. Yesterday I spoke to a group of women at Brocade, and they've put together a women's network within the organization. And there seems to be a blossoming of other women's networks within the Valley, because folks from eBay came and a couple of folks from two other organizations learning about how they're going about to put together these women's organizations. So I think there is a blossoming. So in my former life, I spent time doing research on women corporate advancement issues at a research organization called Catalyst that studies women to reporting levels from a CEO, predominantly Fortune 500s. And something I learned while working for that research organization, there's 3 factors for success for every woman, whether it's Silicon Valley, Wall Street, Chicago with the Fortune 500s predominantly being headquartered. And the number 1 factor for success is sponsorship/mentorship. So women watching, and we talked about this yesterday, how are you surrounding yourself with genius within that organization? Are you proactively cultivating relationships with power, with the decision makers, with the trailblazers, with the innovators? And are you doing it deliberately and going after a sponsor? For years, research that Catalyst has put out on the top earners and the top female board members, and also in analyzing the top earners, having a mentor and having a sponsor within an organization has been the number 1 success factor. The second success factor is, again, really looking at and prioritizing the visibility. So again, a lot of women's, especially Latina women's, we tend to walk through life with a strong sense of humility and head down and just do a good job and it's going to speak for itself. And that's really not the best way to go about leveraging your career. So I think my second recommendation will be go after that visibility, go for the high visibility assignments. If you can have the opportunity to have a stretch assignment overseas, do that. I think the second recommendation I would have for all the women and the leaders that are managing the women, give them the stretch assignments, put them in the visibility spot, and watch what happens. And my third recommendation is really to diversify experience and environment. So in working on Practical Genius, I interviewed neuroscientists and I learned about this wonderful thing called neuroplasticity, which is basically the brain's ability to cultivate pathways. And it's how children learn and it's how adults relearn or learn something new. And the 2 factors that foster neuroplasticity are environment and experience. So again, ladies, environment. Put yourself within the right organization, on the right teams, in the right departments, and really look for diversified experience. So those would be my 3 recommendations as far as women trying to get to that C-suite. Be relentless, find a sponsor that's someone that has your back and is really going to support your career trajectory, and be sure to surround yourself with them. Go for the stretch assignments. Prioritize your visibility. Don't wait for your boss to invite you in to present, the latest project. Take ownership and ask for it. Ask for the visibility. Own it. And if they say no, or maybe next time, keep asking.
You mentioned that you were from Puerto Rico, and that Puerto Rican women tend to be polite and uncomfortable being pushy. Are you suggesting that one of the reasons why it seems to be white men who are dominating Silicon Valley is because other cultures are more polite?
I think that cultural landscape is really important, and I think that everyone has to carry their cultural identity and use it as an advantage instead of a barrier for success or a barrier for entry. But I do think that some cultural habits that we have to push them aside. Some of them do hold us back. Like, again, in the Latino culture, across the diaspora, humility is a big thing. So especially young people that are looking to advance within an organization, Hispanics tend to wait to be asked. They tend to take a passive approach. They really just strong work ethics, so they'll deliver results, but they'll wait to be acknowledged. They'll wait to be, again, asked for a promotion instead of proactively going for it. So I think culture is important. You know, I always say I wasn't born in Puerto Rico, but Puerto Rico was born in me, and I carry my cultural identity proudly. But sometimes we do, as modernists, have to shed some of the cultural baggage that definitely will hold us back.
So humility is a bad thing.
Humility and moderation. Humility and moderation. I'm not encouraging narcissism, but I am saying you have to know when to stand up for yourself and to ask for what you're looking for, and to be assertive and not be embarrassed or think it's inappropriate for me to be assertive as a Latin woman.
Well, Gina Rudan, on that controversial note about how to realize your genius culturally, thank you so much for appearing on TechCrunch TV.
Thank you for having me. It's been a wonderful pleasure and an honor.